In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how the order to invoice process for your e-commerce orders can be completely touchless, meaning no one within your organization needs to touch these orders. Now, we have an example order here for James McClure, and James has bought some pants, and this has actually come in from our e-commerce web store. So through an integration through to Shopify, BigCommerce, WooCommerce, whatever your e-commerce store is, we're actually going to import that order automatically without anyone touching that directly into NetSuite. That's going to do a few things here. It's going to commit inventory for this for these pants so that you can't sell that or consume that as part of any other order. It's also going to leverage pricing that you've established in the web store. So if you've got some promotional pricing or whatever it may be within the web store, that information will come into NetSuite. You'll see that in this particular example, we're using a third-party logistics warehouse, and I'll explain a little bit more around that in a little bit. But what we see here is the order seamlessly coming into NetSuite, no one touching it. In addition to the order coming in, what we also have is this customer deposit transaction. And from an accounting and finance perspective, James has actually paid for this order through his credit card. We need to see the cash and the liability actually reflected within the books within NetSuite. So the customer deposit transaction said, we'll actually do that for us. It'll hit our cash account, and the contra account will be a liability account for the obligation we are yet to meet, which is the fulfillment of the transaction. We'll show you how all that clears out in a second here. So as I mentioned previously, the e-commerce setup within NetSuite can be completely touchless. We're currently using a third-party logistics provider for all of our inventory management needs, and we've developed an integration between NetSuite and our third-party logistics company or warehouse, and this order will automatically go out to the third-party logistics company. They'll go ahead, pick, pack, and ship it, and send the corresponding information, the shipping information back to us, including the SKUs, the quantities that were shipped, as well as the tracking information. So I'll go ahead and run this automated process right now. All right, so the fulfillment transaction has been created through our automation. Let's go ahead and refresh this. And you'll notice that our status has changed from pending fulfillment to pending billing. Under my related records over here, I can see the customer deposit that was created earlier, as well as the item fulfillment. So let's go ahead and click on the item fulfillment. This is the shipping transaction. And under here, you can see the quantity that was shipped, including the SKU. Under the packages, I can actually see the weight of the package together with the tracking information. So if I had any tracking information, this would also be sent back to our e-commerce store, where the e-commerce application would go ahead and send the beautiful email off to the customer stating that the products have shipped. Now, to continue our touchless experience, within NetSuite, we can automate the billing process for e-commerce transactions as well. So you can see that this sales order is in a pending billing status. And you'll also notice here, I have an operation here to schedule billing operations. This is going to run on a periodic basis to go ahead and pick up any orders or sales orders in a pending billing status and simply bill those invoices. So we'll go ahead and run that operation. Okay. And then we'll go ahead and just refresh the screen. And you'll notice that the sales order is now in a build status. Now, being an e-commerce type transaction or customer, we do not want this invoice sent out to the customer on a B2B or business to business, absolutely, and we'll show you that in another video. But from an e-commerce perspective, we don't want any AR invoices being sent out to the customer, and we can actually dictate this on the customer level, say do not send any invoices out to the customer. Now, if we go to our line item down the bottom, you can see we've got pick, pack, shipped, and fulfilled. So everything's been fulfilled as well as invoiced. Now let's go to our related records, and there's the customer deposit, which we'll talk about in a sec here, the item fulfillment and the invoice. And let's go ahead and drill down into the invoice. Now, interestingly enough, this invoice is paid in full. Why is it paid in full? Well, if I click on the related records, remember that customer deposit? It's now been applied to the invoice, netting it to zero. So we've taken that prepayment, that customer deposit, applied it to the invoice, all the accounting and finance is taken care of. But this entire process from a customer placing an order through your e-commerce store, through to the 3PL, through to invoicing, relieving inventory, performing all the accounting and finance functions is completely touchless. No one within the organization needs to touch this. Through scheduled events and automations, this entire process is completely touchless.